Welcome, everyone. Hi, everyone. We'll get started in just a moment. I have 10:40 now, but we'll wait on to see if any other folks join us here. Hello, welcome.
Hello, I'm in a meeting.
We still have folks trickling in, so I'm going to hold off maybe one more minute before starting. Thank you all for joining. All right. I think we'll just go ahead and get started. So welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us here. I wanted to run a workshop that builds off of some of the work that I've been doing in my research and as a supervisor. Broadly, I'm calling this orientations toward supervision for social justice, and I have a few different things that I'm hoping we can engage with today. I'm hoping that through this workshop we can start to take a look at our own supervision work, and specifically think a little bit about and reflect on how we're thinking about social justice and how that influences the work that we do as supervisors. I'm hoping that through this analysis we can start to share our own conceptions and maybe elicit some ideas from each other about what social justice looks like in supervision. And then maybe through that work towards, well, how do we navigate some of the challenges that accompany this work that we do as supervisors? So quick agenda. I'm going to talk a little bit about norms, a little bit about me and my work. And then we'll start talking about how do we characterize what we're doing as supervisors when we work towards social justice, and what are some of the challenges that accompany that work. And then we'll end with some maybe things that we're inspired to try and things that we're thinking about as we move forward. Some norms for this workshop. I'm going to do my best to monitor the chat, but feel free to unmute and interrupt me at any point if you have a question or a comment. Assume best intentions, please. Part of what we're going to be talking about today is the different ideas that we have about what social justice looks like. And I think as a part of meaningful dialogue there, we ought to assume that everyone here has best intentions as far as what we do as supervisors. One of my favorite norms is step up, step back. Step up if you feel that you are perhaps not sharing the ideas that you hope to share. Feel free to step up and share those ideas, but also if perhaps you're taking up more space at the expense of other people's sharing their ideas, consider stepping back. And then social justice, the motivations that we have for attending to equity and social justice in our work, I think puts us sometimes in a vulnerable position. And so I'm hoping that we can also have some willingness to be vulnerable here, keeping in mind that this is a safe space. All right, a little bit about me. My name's Andrew. I'm one of the individuals that is helping facilitate this conference. I'm a PhD candidate at UC Davis. I grew up in the Bay Area. I taught math in the Bay Area. There's some pictures here of some of the work that I did some of my students, my former students. Some of them are here at UC Davis with me. We've gotten together, had the opportunity to talk about life, how things are moving forward. Currently, I do some supervision work at UC Davis with some of the secondary math candidates. And I wanted to share something a little bit personal about me because it's going to come up a little bit later when we start talking more about our supervision. I grew up in a multi-ethnic, multiracial household. My mom is from Mexico City, and as someone who also has heritage in the US, is white presenting, I always felt that part of my identity was represented as a student, but not so much the heritage that comes from my mom's side. Looking back, I can attribute that to things like being resistant to learning Spanish as a child, or continuing to speak Spanish as a child, and sort of feel a feeling of disconnect between that part of my culture and I say this just because my work that I do as a supervisor, I feel is inspired by this I would call it disservice of what happened to me as a student. And I recognize that on the spectrum of disservices that education, disservices in education, this is perhaps not the most egregious thing to have happened, but I did want to make clear that some of what I do as a supervisor is sort of inspired by my own experiences as a student. So a little bit about my work and a little bit about what we're going to be discussing today. My research currently sits at sort of this intersection of looking at supervision, at social justice, and at mathematics education. And it might come as no surprise that that research around supervision is sort of rare. So I'm hoping that this particular niche is something that proves to be valuable for others. I'm sort of trying to extend some previous research that has looked at what we call orientations towards supervision for social justice, some of the associated practices, and some of the challenges that the supervisors face when bringing social justice to their work. am a firm believer that pre-service teacher education is a precious time. I think that it offers a lot of opportunities to sort of make sense of what education sort of theory looks like and how you can bring that to the classroom. And as supervisors, we have sort of this kind of rare opportunity to try and support and create these bridges between what we know to be good teaching and also what's actually happening in the classroom. So this idea of social justice in supervision, I think I've been throwing this term around social justice a lot, but it's not really something that's super well defined. And we're going to talk a little bit about that in just a moment here. We all have different ideas and motivations about the role of social justice in supervision. And sort of to that end, previous research has described what we're going to call orientations towards social justice and supervision. And I'm going to share a little bit about that in just a moment. But before we do, I'd like to hear a little bit about your own thoughts about what does supervision for social justice look like? What does it mean to supervise for social justice? So we're going to create a little word cloud. There's a QR code here for you to access your own input for the word cloud, but I'm going to post a link in the chat as well. Are folks able to access the awesome, thank you. And in just a moment, I'll share what this word cloud is looking like. Right, so we've got some words coming in. I appreciate the honesty with I don't know. All right, so as we can see, there's a lot of different stuff here. Equity seems to be one of the big things. Empathy, fairness, informed, critical consciousness, marginalized students, challenge settler colonialism, interrupting inequities. And I just want to make it clear that in no way am I saying that any of these are specifically the right thing or the wrong thing about how we think about social justice in our work. Just to make a point that a lot of these terms, a lot of these words are, I mean, they're different. They're different ideas. So something to keep in mind is once we start having once we start moving towards our group discussions here. Going to go ahead and move back to the slides and so in the research literature, there have been sort of these 4 different orientations that have been described for this thing we call supervision for social justice. And a lot of them use terminology that we're probably somewhat familiar with. There's a multicultural orientation, essentially supporting teacher candidates to enact multicultural teaching, considering students' cultural backgrounds when planning and implementing instruction. There's a culturally responsive orientation, essentially supporting teacher candidates to enact culturally responsive teaching, considering your own positionality, your own culture, your own language, how that influences your teaching, and also placing value on the experiences and cultures and backgrounds of your students. A critical orientation, which sort of places a lot of value on critical reflection, making connections between your own practice and the greater community, the greater context. And then what started popping up in the literature a lot more recently is what I'm going to call an anti-racist orientation, which involves sort of supporting candidates to interrogate their own identities, their positioning, and specifically working to disrupt racist institutions and the influence of whiteness on education. So this research base is really small, and so I also just want to mention that this is by no means an exhaustive list. You might think to yourself, well, the way that I supervise, I don't think I would fall under necessarily one of these things. Maybe it's multiple of these, maybe it's none of them, maybe if your own sort of orientation towards your supervision. And I just want to make that clear because in a moment, I'm going to ask you to sort of share a little bit about how you think about your own orientation towards supervision, especially when you are focusing on these social justice things. So I'd like to spend a little bit of time doing some individual reflection about this. I recognize that you might need access to sort of these descriptions, and those can be found in a shared Padlet, which I'm going to post a link to in the chat. And so what I would like you to spend a few minutes on is thinking about, is there an orientation that resonates with you? How so? Why do you think this is? Maybe none of them resonate with you. And if that's the case, how would you characterize your supervision orientation towards social justice? Once you have done some reflection on this, I would like to ask that you share your thoughts on a Padlet. That's what I posted the link to. And feel free to respond to other posts as well as they come in. If you don't feel that an orientation really resonates with you, there's sort of an other column there, and you're welcome to post your thoughts there. All right, are there any questions before we start on this? All right, if you don't have access to the Padlet, please let me know. But otherwise, let's take about 7 minutes to think and share. Feel free to stop your video during this time as well. All right, let's take maybe one more minute, and then we'll move into some breakout rooms to talk about our thoughts. All right, thank you everyone for sharing and engaging with this. I'd like to start some dialogue as well here. So I'm going to set up some breakout rooms, and I'd like you to take some time to share a little bit about what you were reflecting on during the last few minutes. And in particular, I'm hoping that perhaps you can start to think about what are the similarities across some of my peers and what we're talking about, and maybe some of the differences as well. So I'm going to go. Any questions before I open up those rooms? All right, I'm going to go ahead and open up the rooms then. We'll take about 7 minutes, and I'll give you some updates on how much time is left. Oh, hello, Maganya. We are we are in breakout rooms now talking about the following prompt. So you're gonna need oh, I think you're muted. I
I
can't hear
went
you.
by the paper on the time, so I got off.
Oh, yeah, sorry, there was a scheduling mistake there.
That's okay. Go ahead. Is there
Uh,
more?
so I shared a prompt with you there, and then there's a Padlet that we've been contributing to as well that I'll post a link to.
Okay. I'll jump in if you could tell me the focus question, but I'm sure my colleagues would help me or whoever.
Yeah. So we're thinking about our own ideas of what social justice looks like in supervision,
Okay.
and how that might compare to other supervisors' ideas around the same thing. So I posted in the chat, I posted the prompt and then the Padlet that sort of
I have the
guide.
Padlet. Let me look for the
Okay.
prompt. I don't see the prompt.
Oh,
Just throw me. You want to just throw me in?
Yeah, sure.
Up to you.
Yeah. If that's okay with you, I'll just assign you to a room then.
Got it.
Awesome. Thank you. Hello. Sorry to leave you guys on an island here. We're in breakout rooms, and I thought I assigned folks to a breakout room, but I think if you joined partway through the session, then you might have missed that. So my sincerest apologies. I think I'm going to close the rooms in just a moment here, but to give you an idea of what we were talking about, I'll post the prompt in the chat. And we also have been contributing to this Padlet here.
This started though at 11:10, right?
It started at 10:40. We changed the schedule. No, we changed the schedule in the morning. Lisa noticed that there was
Yeah, there was a gap.
there was too long of a gap, and so changed it. And I think that we did not communicate that.
No.
We communicated it during the opening session, but I'm really sorry about that.
Yeah, because I wasn't there and I was like, I'll just wait till 11:10 to sign on. Oh.
That's not, I'm in the same situation. I couldn't make it this morning. No. Thanks.
I was going to.
This looks really great. Sorry, I missed the beginning.
The recording will be there. I'll share the slides also.
Nice.
And just sort of while I'm bringing folks back, just super broadly, the big idea that I'm hoping we can start to explore is we all have different ideas of what social justice looks like, including in supervision, and that sort of that influences how we supervise. So I'm hoping that we can take some time to reflect on our own ideas and how that influences our supervision, and then also see how other people are thinking about social justice, and maybe draw on each other's work in ways that is helpful for our own practice.
Awesome, thank you.
So did you change the next time session too? By the
No,
way?
so lunch will be sort of long, but the next set of sessions will start at the originally scheduled time. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, welcome back, everyone. I was so hesitant to even close the breakout rooms at all. There was some just really awesome conversation happening. I was hoping that maybe a few folks might share a little bit about the things that stood out to them in their conversations. So I'll open the floor for anyone that that would like to share. Yeah, Eduardo.
Well, Andrew, I really appreciate the session. And by that I mean that in the 2 days that I've been participating in the sessions, you're the first person that's kind of giving us some kind of frameworks for, or at least some core definitions, or about what do we mean by this. And that's been kind of my frustration with a lot of, even some of the titles of the sessions when they're saying there's equity or advocacy, then it's not defined or even, so I really appreciate that you're starting us off with, here's some ways that people are thinking about it. There's some intersections to that. Obviously, they're not clean and cut. So I appreciate it. Thank you, Andrew.
Absolutely, yeah.
I like the conversation of the fact that some of us are in schools where there is a lot of wealth, and that so we have a very closed, possibly a closed mindset, more than we do in areas where it's multicultural, and the balance of cash in the pocket is very different within a classroom. So I'm interested to hear that, and I know that I might have to deal with those situations, because so far my supervision has been very much multicultural, and I do enjoy it.
I sort of to that, to speak to that a little bit, I want to make it clear, I think I said this, but the there isn't a hierarchy of orientations. I'm not trying to say that one is necessarily the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do. This is more just trying to explore how different people are thinking about things. Yeah, Maganya. Go ahead, Maganya.
Oh, I was gonna say in my group, I think it was Miss Dean. She made a face. I was going like, oh no, she knows I'm going to ask. But she got cut off on her last comment that was probably really valuable to our whole conversation. If she wanted to share, I'd love to hear it. If she remembers, that's it. I don't know if anyone was in my group. Was it Michelle Dean? I'm not sure.
Okay, I think it was me that I got cut off, because we were saying what the pros and cons were of being in the different orientations. And I said, and I think we had come to a conclusion that well, I was ended up saying that the pro would be is something that you're passionate. One could be more prominent because then that you're passionate about it, but that we all could be maybe and all see ourselves in each of the others. I think that's what I was saying. Okay.
Would anyone else like to share before we move on?
I just want to note, in case somebody's not aware of this already, I'm sure you all are, that I needed a little concrete guidance. Actually, I need a lot of concrete guidance on looking for aspects like this in my observations. And so I've been exploring the social justice standards as a starting point. And I was wondering how you feel about those. To me, they have been really helpful, because there's examples and models and scenarios there that give me some idea. So I don't know, is anybody else familiar with them or utilize them?
Do you have a link for us for those?
If you just Google social justice standards, it'll pop up, and it's done in grade groupings, so K-12 and typical of standards type of things. And there's an anchor phenomenon, and then there's things about that, and there's domains or identity and social justice and the other two. But it's really been helpful for me. It's going to give me some clarification of something that I can actually specifically discuss in the debrief.
I think that's why in one of my comments I wrote, I would ask the question, what do you see as fair and unfair to my group? Because I don't know that we all always are able to answer that question, or have thought deeply enough about what's fair and unfair for you and for other people.
Andrew, this is Michelle Dean. I'd like to add just a comment. We have just a moment, comment. And I really appreciate, first I want to tell you, thank you so much for being bold and courageous and for leading this talk. It's huge. I mean, we go on and on and on for years for having professional development around these topics, because they're all aligned, they're all critical, they're all important. I think I did a little preaching with my group because that's just kind of what I do. I have several people from Cal Lutheran that are on the call and they're probably nodding their head and they're probably like, oh yeah, here comes Dean again. But wait, I really appreciate you being bold and leading this. And it's been very fulfilling. We actually are talking about the overarching theme of dismantling white supremacy and acknowledging white privilege. And I have a few of our supervisors are with us today. As I believe it starts in the leadership with their School of Education. I know it's embedded in our vision and mission statement. I meet monthly with our field supervisors. I've embedded the last like 3 years a piece of social justice, equity, inclusion. I asked them to give a presentation, and we've had several presentations about the importance and the richness of identifying marginalized groups, and it comes from them. And they're the leaders of this work, and they're sharing amongst us. And then that empowers us to give that kind of information to our teacher candidates. We have to be bold and courageous. And they may or may not be in settings where these things are embraced, but we still it's our responsibility to give this information to our teacher candidates. It's important because they're going to be teaching the most diverse group of students in the history of this country. And they have to know how our students are they know the importance of their students' identity, voice, presence. All these things have been invisible for many, many years in education. I'm an old lady and I remember being in elementary school and we never talked about, you can imagine, Black History Month, 2 days and slavery and all. No. We've been in history in this country since the 1400s. Okay, very much so. Also too, I wanted to just real speak, it's important that the research you guys are sharing, that we acknowledge that they are from authors of color. It's important. And we talk about people being allies and support, talk about co-conspirators with Dr. Bettina Love's work. It's just really important that we keep we be bold as the leaders to keep this conversation moving forward, to give our candidates the strength and the knowledge and the fortitude to move forward, because they have to make sure that our candidates are going out there prepared to teach and to really care and be inclusive as they pursue a career in education. It's going to be different than it's ever been in the history of this country. So thank you so much for leading this important work. It's really, really critical. It's important.
And then I just want to add, Andrew, like on top of what Michelle just said, is I recognize when folks say none of these is better or worse or than the other, but it's also important to recognize that each of the frames does have some implications as we think about the work, that it has a particular orientation or a particular frame, right? So it's one thing to say, well, I'm anti-bias, but as Michelle says, it's another thing to also say, well, I'm for dismantling white supremacy. So those are two different things, and it's going to lead us with a particular set of goals, with a particular set of outcomes, and they're going to be different, right? And so it's important for us to also think clearly about which of those frameworks is also leading us towards what and for who.
I was going to make a quick comment, Andrew, if that's okay. I would also say thank you for this work. I appreciate this workshop a lot. And I was saying at the end of the group that I was with that, the district and the principals are so important, because while I agree with what a lot has been said, I also was sharing my personal experience that I worked in a fairly wealthy upper socioeconomic school for 18 years, Oak Park. And Oak Park is exceptionally focused on everything that we are talking about here today with their students in terms of spreading the message of acceptance and tolerance and equity and social justice and everything. And I worked in another school that I will keep nameless that was highly diverse, and there was an underlying racism problem that was not being addressed because the leadership of the school would not face or acknowledge that there was an issue with that at all. So to me, so much of this is, of course, spreading this message to our teacher candidates, but trying maybe even, and I was just thinking about this as we were talking about it today, that even if every one of us offered to just have a 30-minute meeting with the principal of each school we work at, how far might that go in spreading the message that we're trying to spread among their students too?
Thank you all for sharing. I really, really appreciate the comments and the dialogue that's happening here. I have a lot of, I wanted to respond to everyone, and maybe just to Jeff first. I was also thinking about, well, the student teaching placement has such a heavy impact on student teachers, and it's all well and good for us as supervisors to do to attend to these social justice issues, but how can we also have an impact on the school sites as well? All right, I wanted to also spend a little bit of time thinking about well, you know what? Let's do this. Let me share my screen again. Because we've got about 9 minutes left, and I wanted to think about some things. I wanted to think a little bit about what we as supervisors can do moving forward. So taking stock of what we've discussed and what we've been thinking about. Did you hear any ideas? Did you hear anything that you're going to start considering in the future? There's a spot on the Padlet to start sharing these things. What stood out to you during our session today? So I'll put a link to the Padlet in the chat again. But if you could just take some time to reflect on what stood out to you and what you're hoping to think about or do as a supervisor moving forward. And Lorena, yes, sorry, I missed that question. No, that is not an abolitionist orientation. No, that I don't think that's reflected. It's not reflected in the literature, and that's not to say it's not an orientation towards social justice and supervision. Just that it has maybe yet to be described. It's been described. I'll have to look into that, Eduardo. Got it. Yes. So okay, Eduardo, I'm definitely going to take a look at this. I think what something I'm curious about is this work specific to supervision, and I haven't read this, so maybe they do talk about supervision here. Because I feel that supervision and teaching, you know, there are different nuances. Yeah, okay. right, let's take about 1 more minute. All right. I wanted to also recognize that we didn't have the opportunity to really talk about this, that there are challenges, no matter how we are attempting to bring social justice to our work as supervisors. There are some challenges, and one of those is this hesitation to talk about issues of race and racism. And I really appreciate that that as a group, we were willing to have those conversations, because I think that those are important conversations to have. And if you'd like, I know that we're running out of time here, but I'll leave the Padlet open if anyone would like to use that as a vehicle for some more dialogue. If you feel that you would like to describe some of the challenges you faced, feel free to add your thoughts to our shared Padlet there. Eduardo, I wanted to come back to something you said about having sort of these descriptions or like frameworks for the work that we're doing. I do think it's very important to, I agree that it's important to have these, as teachers, you know, we have objectives and then we try to figure out how we're going to meet those objectives. And I think the same is true when we talk about supervision, that we need to know what is our philosophy, what is it that we're trying to do before we try to come up with, well, how are we going to do that? So I think that reflection over these ideas is very important. But in the last minute or so that we have here, if anyone has any thoughts that they would like to share, please feel free to do so. If you have any questions, I'll stick around for a few minutes also, if anyone would like to talk. But it is 11:40. We do have our lunch break right now. I'm going to, while folks are starting to leave, I'll post the links to the next set of sessions as well. And thank you all. I know that I got a lot out of just being a fly on the wall and hearing what everyone was talking about. So thank you.
I just want to reiterate what other folks have said, Andrew. You know, I appreciate your vulnerability at the beginning, and I just appreciate the intentionality and thought you put into the presentation. So thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Eduardo.
I'm so sorry. I didn't get the change of time notice. So I came late, and for some reason the link in I can't get the link to the resources to work. And I was wondering if there's any way that you could share that presentation so I could go over it later.
I will definitely do that. It's a PowerPoint, so it takes a few steps for me to share it.
Okay.
Thank you for bringing up the link to the so are you not able to access the resources folder at all?
So it just says empty folder.
Oh,
but
okay. That's because
it says empty folder. I tried to.
Okay. I was like, it might just be me. I'm feeling a lot.
No, it wasn't you.
No.
Same situation. So
I haven't put anything in there yet.
Okay.
So that's why.
I'll check back then later.
And
see.
We'll post a recording as well at some point.
Perfect.
Along with the resources. Yeah.
Awesome.
There will be
Thank
communication.
You so much, and sorry again for
no
missing that.
Same thing happened to me too. So
Andrew, could you maybe send out the new schedule for today out via email, because the times have changed?
all of the times going forward are going to be the same.
Okay, all right, good.
The lunch has been.
Oh, because lunch is longer. All right,
yeah,
good.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's all right. Thank you, Andrew.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, thank you, Andrew, and everyone. I had great discussion.
Glad to hear that.
Thank you for
What
sharing.
time do we have to come back?
The next sessions start at 12:40.
12:40
Mhm.
to what time?
The next set of sessions will be from 12:40 to 1:40.
Okay.
And then at 1:50 or at 1:45, we'll meet for sort of our closing reflection.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Sure thing. And Janice, sorry, I didn't quite catch.
No, I was saying thank you for getting us to think and open our minds and leading us in this discussion, which is definitely not always easy to
No, not on girls' paper.
broach to anyone. So thank you.
No, thank you.
Gives
I
me a little
appreciate.
courage.
I'm glad to hear that. Thank you for the kind
Have a
words,
great
Janice.
Rest of the day.
You too.
And
Take care.
thank you for being the good person to give us all these links and things because I had a hard time.
No, yeah.
Bye, everyone. Thank
course.
you.
Bye-bye, Andrew. Thank you so very much. Like I said, for being bold
Absolutely.
and courageous, because it's really tough. I guess we're gonna have an evaluation at the end because I want to make some recommendations.
Oh, sure. Yes, please.
Yeah, okay, some recommendations. A couple I'd like to see. I've been going the last 3 years coming to these, and like I said, I'm in kind of a different position because I'm the director for I see all of that. I'd like to see a couple more, and I apologize for the background. It's my granddaughter. I'd like to see more presenters of color. I'd like to see just because we had a different flavor, so to speak. So I will add these. I'll add my comments to the evaluation. Okay.
Absolutely. Would you ever be interested in?
I would
okay.
presenting. I would. Yeah, I would. I was
Okay,
just trying to get my
okay.
bearings the next few years, the last 3 years. I'm sorry, leaning forward. Get down before you fall. We have someone coloring here. Get down. Okay. Okay, you okay? Anyway, sorry. But yeah, I really would. Like I said, I've been coming, I've been doing this work, and I've been the director for our field places at Cal Lutheran for over 8 years. And I've actually embedded, like I said, these professional developments every month with coming from organically coming from our supervisors to speak about race, LGBTQ issues, Asian American hate. I mean, I have a list of things that they've been presenting, and I don't know. I don't at this point, I don't know if I'm gonna put them all together, write a paper. I just have been collecting them, and they've been very well received by about 35 supervisors, probably about 30 of them more or less. In fact, Lynette's one of my supervisors. Hi, Lynette. It's Michelle. Like I think we're 12 of us here. Some people push back. They don't want to present. We don't push them to present, but I want them to listen because this is the impactful work they need to share along with their supervision with their teacher candidates. And that's kind of my nexus. I don't supervise directly teacher candidates. I do teach in the program. And like I said, I do align the schedules, and I do all the placements and on and on and on and on. But, and I have the candidates, the methods candidates, multiple subject method candidates in my coursework. My point was, I just lost my point because I talk so much. The point is, I want them to see that leadership, and at Cal Lutheran leadership, our dean and all of our folks are behind them through this DEIJ, we call it DEIJ, Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Justice at Cal Lutheran, and that they have to keep working. And Dr. Jeff Appel that shared about his 2 experiences, he's one of my supervisors as well. He shared about his from his Jewish perspective and his wealthy environment and growing up. And, you know, so we have all different perspectives, but I think it's really encompassing. And I think it might be kind of interesting to me to maybe get it together in some kind of presentation forum to share. We have to start working with our principals, our districts, because that's the nexus that I find hard when I make placements. I don't want to put someone in with a narrow-minded corporate teacher or mentor teacher. It's just so hard because we're working with human beings, you know. But anyway, I talk so very much, but I would be interested in presenting in the future.
Great.
I think I might have something coherent to pull together to share.
Yeah. where it's the future of the conference is a little bit up in the air right now,
I
just
bet.
because CTERN is going away.
I bet.
But yeah, should we be doing this next year? Absolutely. We put out a call for
I saw that.
presenters.
I
Okay,
saw that.
great.
Yeah, I work
So
with
you're
our
on
county
list then.
office and we're getting ready to do a lot of work with ethnic studies. So, you know,
Awesome.
I just kind of get pulled in so many different directions, but I did see that. I didn't think I could get anything together in that period, but in the future,
Sure.
I would definitely be interested. So thank you so much for listening, honey.
Fantastic.
And I'll see you later. Thank you so much.
Thank
Very
you.
kind, very kind. Bye, honey.
Take care.
All righty, thank you.
I still haven't taken my shower.
Oh,
Jan or Lynette, did you have any questions or anything you wanted to talk about?
Sitting on my rocking chair doing nothing.
Otherwise, I'm going to end the Zoom
well, I
call.
should have invited you over so you could be politically correct.
Yeah, so, all right. See you soon.
All righty,
All right,
take
gonna go ahead and
care.
end the call then.
Bye-bye.